I'm joined by Ulrich Roux from Ulrich Roux and Associates. Ulrich, good morning to you. The leader of the DA here, Mmusi Maimane, who's reacting from the courts, is saying that this is actually precedent setting. In his words, the ATM has been cut. Is this indeed a precedent setting judgment?
Yes, I think so. I think the surrounding circumstances in this matter are also very telling. Remember that there was an agreement between Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma that the state would be funding his legal costs. That agreement has now been found to be invalid, and it would set the president going forward in these matters, that even if you are the president of the country or an ex-president of the country, if you do face corruption charges in your personal capacity, then you are going to foot the bill for it. So definitely a very important judgment handed down today.
And what implications does this have then, Ulrich? In particular, my colleague was talking to Mmusi Maimane there, saying that those who are currently going through the process of state capture, the investigations that are ongoing, because the argument has always been that the reason that people like the former president would need the state to pay for their legal fees is because whatever misdeeds that they may have undertook, they did those in the line of duty, so to speak. What implications then does this present those people when you have a decision like this one?
Well, there's always got to be a distinction drawn between a person acting in his capacity as a servant of the state, such as a minister or a member of parliament, and in his personal capacity. And I think that the distinction that has been drawn by the court today is very important. And that is that even if you are acting or you're sitting as the president of the country, if you have committed a crime in your personal capacity, one cannot expect the country and the taxpayers to pay for your legal fees. You yourself are the person who is being accused and who needs to face up to these charges, and so you must foot the bill. If he is accused at the end of the matter and he's found not guilty, acquitted, and he's found not guilty, then he would have a recourse against the state, and he would be in a position to institute civil action against the state. But up until that moment, he should be treated like any other citizen of this country. And in that same breath, we see a lot more prevalent matters where, for instance, policemen who act unlawfully in the case of an unlawful arrest. Previously it was the Minister of Police who would have to dock up those fees should there be a civil judgment against him. And we are seeing a lot of judgments being handed down by our courts where the orders are made against the policemen in their personal capacity. And that is the same as this matter. You must take personal responsibility for issues, and you can't expect the state and the taxpayers' money to cover that.
Ulrich, just talking then about the amounts here that would have been paid over by the state towards the former president Jacob Zuma's legal fees. There are two figures that are being bandied about. One is 15 million, the other one is 32 million, if memory serves. Would those amounts need to be payable ASAP?
Yes, well, as far as I understand the judgment, the state attorney now needs to furnish an entire schedule of payments that it has made on behalf of Zuma, and once there's clarity on that, then it will be payable, yes. If he's not in a position to pay it, then the DA and the EFF can apply for a writ of execution from the Registrar of the High Court, and they can then attempt to attach any assets or movable assets registered in Jacob Zuma's name in order to make up that amount. So certainly a difficult position that he's finding himself in, especially given the fact that we have had previous reports that he is struggling to fund his court case, and now on top of that, he's being ordered to pay a large amount of money for all the legal fees incurred thus far.
And it's interesting you bring up that point because just the other time, in fact, it was towards the end of last month when you and I were in this very studio talking about his appearance in Pietermaritzburg, where we spoke about his high-powered legal team. Do you foresee a situation where that team is possibly cut back on? Given that there is now this, as Mmusi Maimane puts it, the pipeline that's been cut?
Yes, definitely. I mean, these are advocates in the private sector, and they certainly charge proper fees, and if they don't have security that their fees are going to be paid, then I can't foresee them proceeding with the matter. So they would definitely want to look into the fact about whether their fees are covered going forward, and if it's not, then one cannot expect them to act in the matter, because if they act in the matter for Jacob Zuma, that prevents them from acting on behalf of another client who will indeed be paying their fees. But that is an issue that will have to be dealt with between them and their clients.
All right. Thank you very much for the time being. Ulrich Roux giving us some reaction after the decision taken by the North Gauteng High Court, in fact, a judgment that's been taken for the former president to now start footing his own bill and start paying back some of the money that the state has been using towards his legal fees.